My name is Coach Michael. I'm an action coach. Action Coach is a franchise. It's a 32-year-old business coaching company in 86 countries. So when I bought my coaching practice 13 years ago, I figured it'd be easier to go with the biggest and the best instead of going at it alone. Over 13 years, I've really positioned myself as working with leaders, entrepreneurs, CEOs, teams, and really holding them accountable and giving them the strategies, solutions, and systems to build their business, but not only the strategies, systems, and solutions, but also the ability to have someone challenge them in who they need to be to step up, to be the leader they need to be, the communicator they need to be to really to actually apply everything they learn and get the company run efficiently. So
Okay.
yeah, I joined GoBundance about a year and a half ago. I'm all about surrounding myself with the best, and
Awesome.
if you're in is awesome.
I
Thank you.
appreciate it. So this group is, it's acquisition focused. So I'd love for us to kind of like, I know you have a lot of stories and you have a lot of like content around acquisition integration, acquisition turnaround. So I'd love to, if you give us an example of let's start with one of an interesting acquisition of a small business. You can think of home services, or you think of, let's start with a home service example. So, and I'll ask you questions kind of like around how that acquisition went.
Well, I would say one of my clients, Jeff and John, they have a landscaping company. We started working together 7.5, 8 years ago. They had 2 companies generating about 8 million. They now have 6 companies generating about 32 million.
Nice.
And a few of the things is, as we're looking to make acquisitions, 2 things I have that has been very helpful to me as a coach, finding the right people, finding the right company, and so on and so forth, is ideal client list. So if you're a good acquisition, ideal acquisition, exactly what you want in the acquisition. So you have an actual checklist of everything, so you'll know it shows up and you could actually ask. And the second thing I have is a contrast clarity. Contrast is exactly what you don't want, and clarity is exactly what you do want. So a lot of times we talk about what we do want, but we don't necessarily document what we don't. And then obviously as we mature and go through some things that don't necessarily work out in our favor, then over time we get clear on what we don't want. So the more clarity we have on what not, who not, what type of company, the clearer we get, the easier it's going to be when they show up and say, you know something, I think you and I should have a conversation around this, because the clarity is there, and that saves a lot of time, energy, effort, money, stress. So those are 2 little things that I
So let's start with that first one. So like the ideal acquisition profile for those guys, what was it when they first started, and then what is it now that they have experience?
Size of the company. Yeah, every acquisition they made, they had one that went south. That wasn't a good one. And they underestimated the operator. I'm sorry, they overestimated the operator. Make that clear. She was a terrible communicator.
So is it a landscaping company?
Yes, it was out in Palm Beach. And the other thing is bench strength. A lot of times we look at the database, we look at the size of the company, but what's the bench strength? Who's running the company right now? Who's the leaders of the different divisions? How engaged they are? Are they engaged with the culture? Because you want that stickiness. If you buy a company, you want the stickiness of the people, because they're going to be the ones running the company for you, or that particular division.
Yeah. So now for them, what is that ideal profile? So the size, what is the size that they're looking for? What is it? A geography? Is it a culture? Is it a specialty in that landscaping space that they're looking for?
It's interesting. Jonathan did a podcast with Andy Cagnetta from Transworld Business Brokers several years ago, and they're well entrenched in Palm Beach Isle.
Okay.
So they know all the competitors. They know everybody on the aisle, and they're friends and colleagues with all of them, and they just let them know up front. Say, listen, there's going to come a day that you're going to want out. You speak to us first.
Hmm.
So they let them know in advance.
Yeah.
They're not competitors. It's just another company out there grinding it out to build a business and make money for themselves and their team, their family, and such. But they want to know everybody in their landscape, and then from there they can determine who's the right operator because they like dealing with the high end net worth individuals. I mean, some of their client lists are like Grant Cardone and Tom Brady and um, Sylvester Stallone. So that gives you an idea of some of their client lists. So they're very clear on the type of acquisitions they're going to make. So there's a certain size, a certain clientele that they're identifying, and the companies that serve those.
So there's the geography, there's the size of the business, there's the type of clientele, and there's the bench strength. You need to have like a strong bench of supervisors and managers that are going to run the business. What would be another criteria that they're looking for?
Well, obviously the numbers.
Like a
We all know
profitable business,
absolutely.
or a business that they can fix if it's not too profitable. Yeah. And I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of in the landscaping space, the challenge with the profitability is usually pricing. So if you have set yourself as an operator within a geography as the cheapest alternative and you're not making any money, then it's very hard to go back and try to negotiate those contracts with the clients because they've gotten used to the pricing for so long, and you're going to have a lot of churn if the service is just so.
Well, if you're the cheapest, I'll tell you what, business owners and purveyors become the cheapest because they weren't clear on their ideal client.
Yes.
And they just want to get business. And I can guarantee if I'm speaking to them, they're bitching and moaning that their clients are pain in the ass and they steal all their time and they bicker over price. Well, sorry, pal, you created it. All right. So you got to
Yes.
that's why I say get really clear on what you want, what you
Yeah.
don't want, who your client is, because if you're not clear on who they are, you're going to get clear on who they're not a few years down the road. That's for
Yeah.
sure.
And a lot of what I've seen how to fix that. So let's just say you acquire a business that has that tendency to get the wrong customers or try to get any customer. And then essentially they find themselves in a situation where they're not profitable. Obviously, you're buying the business that has low profitability, but you're buying it at a multiple of that profit. One of the strategies that I found is that a lot of the good operators, when they come in, they literally just clean the list. They just say, all right, Mr. Customer, we love your business. We love you having been here for this long. We're moving, we want to be profitable. We want to pay our employees better. We want to take care of our customers better. Here's the new pricing. It's okay if if you don't want to sign up, it's okay. Then they essentially have like 40% of the customer base that stays. And essentially now they free up capacity that they can go find new customers with the better pricing. Have you seen any other strategies to fix for that, to account for that?
Well, something interesting that I was thinking of when you were talking is another opportunity is who are the actual owners or operators of the company itself.
Yeah.
Like for instance, as an example, they bought a company back in 4 years ago that had three operators. It was two brothers and a sister, and one brother passed, and the other brother checked out, and the sister was really never acclimated to the business in the first place. So when I was speaking to Jeff and John, they were a little nervous. They said, "No, it's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. It's perfect. You almost got a rudderless company. The people running it are the divisional managers. They are waiting for an operator to come along and take this company and show them how to get to the next level."
Yeah.
So when you see something like that, you see good bench strength, you see good clientele, you see good culture, but the operators themselves, the owners, aren't, they're kind of in it, not. There could be tremendous upside because when you blend the culture and really get everybody on board, that's a sweet thing. And that worked out real well for me. I told them, I said, this is bench strength. You're buying bench strength and an opportunity.
Yeah.
And it worked out extremely well.
And are you so on the contrast piece, when you said, okay, this is what we're looking for, this is what we don't want, what are some of the things on the contrast base that you look for?
Contrast what you don't want. Obviously, somebody that thinks it's all about them is going to take all the, it's character. A lot of it's character. Somebody likes to take all the credit for all their stuff. My team sucks. They're unaccountable, but I'm good. Everyone else needs fixing. Um, you know, Retention of clients. Um, just usually when I do something like this, I'm brainstorming and it slowly comes and if something comes to your brain, you
Yeah.
write it down and you lock it in.
Yeah.
Because with me, I'm more into exactly what is an ideal client for me.
Yeah.
And I help my clients filter through exactly who is an ideal client for them.
Yeah.
They know that better than I do.
Okay. Got it. Do you get involved in the due diligence at all with them?
Not
Do you go
really. They
check?
have
Do you go check the team? Talk to the like? How do you kind of like measure
Well,
the bench
what
strength?
I do a lot of times is the first thing we did is I referred them an accountant 8 years ago. We started working together. Say, listen, you want to get to 100 million. Your accountant isn't an accountant to get you 100 million. So we got to get you the accountant to get you 100 million. So we
Yeah.
need to start going there first. So obviously he's scraping it inside up and down in every different way. And accountants think of cost. They have their business broker. What we do is we talk about it on our calls.
Got
But
it.
also, if there's certain operators, divisional managers, they want me to speak to them before they make an acquisition. So I'll have a call with them, or I'll meet them face to face. I'll do a disc profile on them, check them out to give them my uh, thought process based on my conversation I had with them. Because I'm going to be able to ask questions that they're not, because I'm totally 100% unbiased. And I'm
Yeah.
not afraid to ask certain questions when maybe an owner of a company by another company might be afraid to go there. So
What are
there's a
some of those
lot of that
questions
going
that?
on.
What are some of those questions that are the most revealing?
Ooh, tell me about your culture of the company. Tell me about your employees. Tell me what challenges you have, your wins. So I'm attempting to gauge them on based on the answers they're giving me to see how much ownership that they really have. You can tell me how much ownership you really have. That's fine. But I'll ask the questions and I can determine how much ownership you really have just based on the answers you're going to give me. Um, have you had any challenges with particular employees? So how do you approach that? So those type of operating the organization, managing the team, keeping them happy, and you get bonuses. How do you reward them? What type of meetings do you have? I'm really getting into what it looks like.
Yeah. So how do you like let's say, your client is buying, one or two companies. The client company, the buyer has their own they have their own culture, and then they're buying into a completely different culture. How do you advise them to kind of merge the cultures, or you just let them have two separate, multiple different cultures and then just run those
No,
parallel?
sometimes Jay, there's a culture in a company that's written, and sometimes there's a culture in a company that's unwritten. My clients, their culture is written. We really design the division, the mission, the culture of the company. So let's just take one of the culture points is integrity, and we have a one line or a two line on integrity. So you can really, whether it's defined, not defined, written or not written, what your operators and the owners of your company that you're coaching are looking for. And you'll know based on those conversations with the owners and some of the divisional managers if they fit or not.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So based on that culture, if the culture is not quite there, do you advise them not to buy the company, or do you go in knowing that you're going to have that issue and then you're going to have to solve it later?
that's where we start going in and having conversations with some of the leadership, the divisional managers of the company to see how they will be able to integrate. I start
Yeah.
asking them questions. Tell me about, you've been a divisional manager for 3 years working with Susie and Sally, the business owners. Tell me what it's been like. Is there anything you see they could be doing better? Have you met Jeff and John? Have you talked to them? Have you looked at their company? What it is about them that intrigues you? What do you think you could bring to the table? What do you think they could bring to the table? Those type of questions.
Got it. And so we're talking about integration. So now the company is acquired. Day one, what happens?
Oh, day one. Uh, God, so much has happened over the last 7.5 years. I forgot what day one looked like. I think, Jay, it's interesting. I don't think there necessarily is a day one because the process started prior and the process continues afterwards.
Okay.
So yeah, day one is where they sign the paperwork. Congratulations, guys. I would tell them, say, listen, go out and celebrate. All right. You made
No,
the
no,
acquisition.
I'm talking about the announcement to the employees, so the company does, because a lot of these acquisitions sometimes they're kept hush hush. You don't really tell the employees until the wire is transferred.
Are you
And
talking about the employees of the companies being bought?
correct.
Um, well, what we've been doing is we're pretty much talking the employees when that's happening.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
We're talking. We want to talk because let's face it, the owner's going to no longer be there because
Yeah.
Jeff and John are operators,
Correct.
so that owner will be out.
Yeah.
It's the divisional managers, the guys operating the teams, are really the juice.
Yeah.
So we want to know who they are. We want to know what they're all about. So there's conversations well before that. And I know there's a lot of acquisitions that everyone wants to keep it quiet until that
Yeah.
day, but again, these guys know all the competitors. So we're making it's listen, hire slow, fire fast.
Yeah.
Same thing with buying a company. Hire, buy slow, you know, check off all the boxes, and until you feel comfortable, it's all conversation. Because if you're not checking off all the boxes, that one thing don't check off, that might be the one thing that comes and bites you in the ass.
Okay. That's interesting. Okay. So the employees already know this thing is happening. So what is the message that's going out to the
Not
employees?
all the employees, the leadership.
The leadership.
The
Okay.
leadership. Yeah.
Got it. So when do the employees know?
uh, when the leaders the day one, they'll have
Day
a big
one.
meeting. We'll have a big quarterly meeting, introduce new people to the existing people, get everybody aligned and on the same page. And yeah,
Okay. So what is the message going out, to get everybody aligned to what is that process like?
um, it's their divisional managers really introducing them to the new operators, saying,
Okay.
there's been a process going on for the last several months, and these guys have been operators in this particular area for 35 years now. And they're the guys I think can take this whole organization to the next level. Susie and Sally, they're retiring, they're sailing off in the sunset and so on and so forth. They spent a lot of time for finding the right operators that would adapt to our culture and also have a culture that we're going to feel comfortable
Got it.
in. It's simple as that.
Yeah. Okay. So just get them comfortable with the new buyer, make sure that they align with their culture. Is there any are there any incentives given to the employees? Anything that's offered to get them excited or no? Some people.
Well,
Some.
that starts with the process as we start having regular conversations with the divisional leaders and the employees, and create a review process where they're at, what they'd like to achieve, so on and so forth. Create KPIs, give them something that they can start achieving, and then bonus accordingly. Nothing's given up front.
Got it. So is that how you change compensation, or do you actually align the compensation? Let's say the company that's being bought has its own comp plan, and then your company has its own comp plan. Is that when you make that change, or you just leave them on their comp plan because it's just part of their culture and you adjust little by little over time?
Second, the latter. Yeah, just
Okay.
a little bit, because here's the thing. When you're buying a company, when you're employing people, people don't get hired or fired. I want to
Yeah.
be really clear on that.
Yeah.
People either qualify or disqualify to represent your brand and culture. So as we're filtering through new people,
Explain that concept. It's actually a really good concept.
yes,
I've heard you speak
um,
about it.
interesting. I know if everybody knows Sam Ash Music. Sam Ash Music is a company out of New York that was in business for 100 years. When I was a new coach, I walked into the one over on Sample and Lions. I'm like, well, this is going to be really cool. 100-year-old company. I'm going to learn some stuff. I walked in. The guy at the front desk was the manager's feet up on the desk, on the phone, didn't acknowledge me. I walked into that room where they have wooden guitars, figuring like, wow, this is going to be like a special room. The girl's going to tell me all about this, the temperature and all this stuff. I was really curious. I said, so what is it about? Where's your knowledge like? Tell me more about this room. She goes, well, I'm just I just know what I'm doing. Like, ooh, like, sorry. Then I went to the floor and I saw a sales guy. I said, so tell me, it's a 100-year-old company. It's a pioneer in the music industry. So tell me what intrigued you to want to represent this brand. He goes, I needed a job. I'm like, holy shit. I walked out of there. So now I'm a new coach and I don't have the balls to necessarily pick up the phone and call an owner of a company that's been around for 100 years and say, no offense, but your store down here sucks. It took me 3 weeks and some coaching from my coach. I finally called him up. And when I told him about the whole situation, he goes, yeah. He goes, you're going to probably not like this answer, because, but sometimes you just need to fill a seat. You have an opening, you got to plug it in and then get back to work. I'm like, you're kidding me, right? You're a pioneer in the music industry. You're almost 100 years old, and your culture is you just got to fill a seat. I was blown away. So it's people, when you get clear on how your company shows up, the culture of your company, what they deliver, the level of excellence, people either qualify to represent that brand or they don't. It's as simple as that. And especially when you buy another company, there's certain people going to step up and say, yep, this guy's an operator. This guy's good. He's part of our team. We have a one-on-one with him. We talk about him. What's your goal? So on and so forth. And then some people just might be, see you later, bye.
Yeah.
Simple as it gets.
Yeah, that's awesome. And and it's pretty straightforward. It creates accountability across the whole company. And it's pretty, it's direct.
There's something
Everyone,
I'd like to add. What's interesting
yeah,
in business, a lot of people are afraid to have a conversation with somebody just based on their stature in the company. And I tell every single operator I have, business owner and CEO, it's just a conversation. It's two people sitting down, speaking freely. And I always suggest just ask for permission. Say, Jay, do I have your permission to speak freely? And they're going to say yes. And then just have a conversation.
yeah,
So many people are afraid to have conversation of what they might say or what they might think, or because he's a leader and I can't, who am I to say that? You're mucking it all up.
yeah.
Just have a freaking conversation and get it out.
So now, how do you deal with people that are like, issue people? Like you might have like some person that's like a poison to the culture, or some person that's like a um in a position where they're either have control over information. Let's say someone that has financial, like deep financial understanding of the business, or a supervisor's been there a long time and hired like half the team. How do you extract that person out, or how do you deal with that person that it's not a culture fit, it's not the right person, but they have a lot of leverage within the company?
That's where you don't necessarily fire fast.
Yeah,
That's where you build the relationships with the people underneath him or her. You sit down and slowly attempt to get them adapted to a new culture. You sit down and thank them for being, instead of looking at them and saying this guy's a poison, say, we really appreciate what you've done for this organization in the last 5, 10 years. You're obviously a leader, and try to enroll him in a new culture and step up, because maybe he was just let to be that way. Maybe nobody ever said, hey, Jay, stop your shit. You're a great leader. You're a great manager. Quit being a dick.
yeah.
Let's slow down. You have great qualities. So the old pump and dump, pump them up for what they are, and then ask for permission to give them criticism or advice on where they can move up. And then also somebody like that, the operators will have me have a coaching call with them. They speak to the coach. They speak to this unbiased guy, and I filter through, and then I filter into Jeff and John. Say, I think I can work with this guy. I think he's got it. Or this guy's freaking poison, man.
Yeah.
You need to adapt to all his team and get him to frig out.
um Guys, if you have any questions, please feel free to jump in. And Mike and I met so many times, and we have many of these conversations, so we can probably talk for hours. um let's go to the customer side. What do you, day one or week one or the first, month, what do you suggest your clients to announce to the customer and to integrate the customer into the business?
Well, Jeff, um, guy's a rock star. You ever meet some people that just, as far as connecting with people and networking and stuff, he could do a seminar. What they do ride-alongs. They ride along with the divisional managers and introduce Jeff or John as the owner of the company. These are the new operators. Jeff asks questions. What can we do? Is there anything we could do to enhance the service? Are you happy with Jonathan over here that's been running the show? And is there anything we could do? Here's my personal information. We're here for you. So make a personal connection so they know right off the bat, like, well, okay, this is the operator, this is the owner of the company. He came to say hello to me, shake my hand. Pretty cool. So they just schedule ride-alongs with their different divisional managers.
Okay. And then just go meet every client.
Yeah.
Okay. And
Start with obviously the cream of the crop and work yourself down.
got it. And that's pretty much. Did they change any? Is there any like if there's any change in the service level or pricing or like something that's required to do? Is there a process around that?
Yeah, they will do a walk around as
Okay.
they introduce the people and ask them questions. Do a walk around. They start making suggestions based on what they see and so on and so forth. It's like any client we have. Really know the client, get to know. So I noticed over here, have you ever thought about this? This would be a great addition, boom, 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 because smooth operators, they're there for the client, but they're also thinking of average dollar sale and number of transactions of how they can get more. But it's a win-win because they're adding value also.
Got it. And so what is their like the first 90-day like roadmap? What does that look like? What is the main focus for post acquisition?
Oh, alignment of the entire team.
Okay. So the
Always
cultural alignment.
the alignment of the entire team first. Having conversations with all the different players. Anytime someone comes in and they do a disc assessment, I have a call with the person. I explain their behavioral. I have them do a SWOT, have a nice conversation with them, get a feel. Tell me about, what you like about this new organization. What intrigued you to join them? What do you think you could bring to the table? Is there anything you're seeing based on your fresh set of eyes or anything you see? So really align them and let them know that there's outside of the operators, the organization, there's also somebody else like me that they can have conversations with. So yeah, that's really get to know the personnel.
Okay. Um, you mentioned an acquisition that didn't work out. Can you kind of share with us kind of like why it didn't work out? Where was it missed in the due diligence and all that stuff?
Yeah, I wish we had a meeting and the acquisition was made and the owner was at the meeting and I just went up to him. I said, I don't like her. Don't like her. I
You,
think
you
she's
didn't like
more
you didn't like the owner.
exactly. I said I think she's more impressed with her own mouth and she sucks at a listener. Um, I I I don't like her and I don't trust her. But this was late. This one they got in there. This one was late and yeah, bit him in the ass. I wished
So
I
so they had bought a business where the owner was going to stay.
no, she was just not up and up. A lot of stuff was said and a lot of stuff was done, but your action speaks so loud I can't hear your word you're saying. She didn't back her words.
Okay.
Took us about a year and a half to clean it up. It's all forgotten now. It's old news now.
Yeah.
The company's been integrated. The good people have been stayed. The trash has been let go, and it's integrated and they're profitable. But hey, listen, every once in a while you need to make a bad one to learn. That's where
Yeah.
the learning comes from. Say, okay, and that, uh, like I say, the contrast list gets a lot clearer.
So what was the learning from that one?
Hire slow, fire fast.
Like you mean like in the due
Like if it
diligence?
doesn't check off all the boxes, if there's
Yeah.
any, and get, if there's, I tell them, I said, listen, if you are not 100% certain, let me have a conversation. They don't want me to have a conversation with her because she was kind of standoffish, and they felt that if I had a conversation with her, I might nix it because she
Yeah.
might feel a little threatened or something. Well, if they felt that way, that's a good reason they felt that way. We
Yes.
know that now.
Yes. Okay. That's so true. So essentially, I always tell the guys, if you don't like the owner, you're not gonna like the business, and it's because the culture they're gonna have, it's gonna be corresponding to the people they have, and if you don't like the owner is gonna attract people like them, and it's just not gonna work out.
But
So
also remember, there could be sometimes there'd be people in the business think, this owner's an idiot,
yes,
and say, we're just waiting for someone to come along. Give
yes.
us an operator that can help us.
Yeah, but
So
they're only
sometimes
few.
you can't
They're very few. They're not that
yeah,
many. Like
yeah.
the majority. So in that case, you got this owner that's standoffish, that's kind of full of shit in a way, that just talks about herself. What was, that's the only thing you could see when before you do the acquisition. Post acquisition, what did you find out?
Um, she was inaccurate on her numbers. She was
Okay,
fluffing a lot of stuff.
okay. So like in her profitability, financials,
Yeah,
where
and then
was the gap?
she was just, without revealing too much, she just
Yeah,
was a dishonest, not upfront person that hit a lot of crap and played a lot of games.
got it. On the financials.
Just when you make an acquisition, you want to part friends, you want to shake hands, both parties want to feel good. The former owner is going to be there if you need something. Or she was just an unscrupulous.
Makes sense.
I got
Okay.
other words for it. And I'll leave that conversation.
Okay. And then so could they have caught that in the financial due diligence? And did they or they just missed it because they were too excited about the deal?
Um, I'd have to really. It's been so far. I think that they somewhat saw some warning signs, but we're probably excited about the location and the database and the acquisitions of clients.
Makes sense. Okay, that happens. Philip, you have a question?
Do they take
You're
yourself
on
off?
mute. You're on mute.
Sorry.
There you
Yes. Yes. Pretty much. It was a high. It was backing with your question. How could you avoid this type of issue? Because I'm sure there's a lot of owners that are not 100% honest with the financials. You can review them, but what will be the tips for you to give to really try to dig a little deeper than what you get? Because that's what you get is what you see.
Yeah, well, you get your accountant to go through it, fine tooth comb, and I bring it back to the contrast, clarity, and the ideal checklist. If you can't check off all the boxes, it's a no. Because if this one box you don't check off, it will come back and bite you in the ass. Like, well, checked off on, 19 out of 20. Okay, they'll fix itself later. No, it won't. We have to be, like I'll speak for myself. I'm a coach. I want a business and a practice that works for me. I've been doing this for 13 years now. I love working with my clients because I'm very clear on the type of clients I want to coach. A lot of people say, I'm committed, I'll do whatever it takes. And I usually say, yeah, we'll see. Because whatever it takes is sometimes stuff that I don't necessarily want to do, so I'll choose. So because my clients are engaged and I'm engaged, and they make my job very easily because they get results. They do as I say. We have great relationships. Everybody's happy. But if I have a client that's going to be not do it as I say and be a pain in the butt, and I don't, and I say, oh well, they checked off 19 of the boxes. Whatever. That's close enough. No, that one box I didn't check off is going to be the one that's like, oh my God, why did I do this? Don't go. If you have a standard, do not dip below your standard.
Yeah.
Period. Exclamation point.
And I think that the part about liking the owner is so important because in checking off all the boxes, because if the owner is trustworthy, is direct, you ask the question and you get a straight up answer, and if they're responsive, you ask for documents, you give you the documents, they're transparent, you're gonna feel there's like an openness, there's a flow, the owner is really accountable, really, cares about the employees, cares about the longevity of the business, wants to be there for you after post-acquisition, wants to make sure that the employees are taken care of, wants to make sure that the clients are taken care of. It makes your life a lot easier. The minute they start hiding, the minute they start blocking, the minute they start, like delaying, that's when you have like, okay, there's something there, and you have to like dig into that thing and not avoid it, because a lot of times people get attached to the transaction, to the outcome of the transaction. You've been looking for a long time, and finally someone accepted your LOI, and then you get too excited about the client base or the location or the business or whatever, and you essentially almost like you see yourself in that business already before you actually acquire the transaction, and then something happens and you don't push because you don't want to upset the seller, or you don't want to mess up with the deal. So that's where when you act out of fear, that's when you get in trouble.
Oh, absolutely. So that's where I actually have my clients sign a permission statement to give me permission where to go, where I need to go, ask the questions I need to ask to get them to see what they need to see. So I am going to ask questions, and I'm going to get that blank stare for about 30 seconds to a minute, and sometimes wonder, did I go too hard or I go too far? But that's what they're paying me for, because no one else is asking them those questions. So when you're willing to ask the questions because you really want the answer, that's how you uncover that stuff.
Yeah.
And
also your due diligence team. For example, if you have an accountant that's doing a quality of earnings report, they're going to ask for copies of contracts. They're going to ask for copies of invoices. They're going to ask for bank statements and to verify the deposits. They're going to ask, what is this? So one of the things that I always tell the guys that are buying companies is to work very closely with your quality of earnings person. Make sure that person is very diligent in terms of like what they're asking for, and then go a step further. If they're going to ask for 30 deposits, tell them to ask for 50. If they're going to ask for contracts, like for example landscaping, or let's say HVAC or whatever, the guys who do this at a professional level, like the private equity guys, they look at every contract. They want all of them, and they want to check every one of them to make sure that there's nothing hidden in that contract that's going to bite them later, or there's no escalating pricing or de-escalating price or whatever it is that's going to be an issue down the line. So and if you get resistance in getting answers, that's a problem. You want to make sure that that you're only getting cooperation. And I think that's the if you do a lot of deals, you're going to notice what a good seller look like. So that's my next question to you, Michael. What's a good seller? Well, give us a story of a really good seller and how it turned out.
let me see, it's a good seller is a lot of things you just mentioned. It's somebody that created a legacy, created a company, created a great culture, but set it up for success. Loves what he's doing, but 66 years old, just says, something, I'm done. And then the seller is also very clear on the type of person they want to buy their company. See, we're looking at this as buyers. When you get a seller that's clear on the type of buyer and the type of operator and type of culture and the type of leaders that they have so much ownership and so much pride of the team they built, they want the new operators to have that type of culture. That's the perfect thing, because you find each other and then it's perfect. And when you're a really good operator, those are the ones that are going to find you. You don't necessarily find them, because they're weeding through a whole bunch of stuff. No. They've got their checklist. And then when they can find the operator, say, okay, these guys check off all boxes, let's talk. And again, like my clients, they're talking to all these people years in advance. Say, Jay, hey, listen, when you're ready to go sail into the sunset with that pretty gal of yours, you call us.
Yeah. And I think that's the value of that proprietary search. If you're looking to buy a business, you always want to have both tracks going on at the same time. You're doing the proprietary search that's long-term, consistent, and then also you're doing the broker search on the side. So the broker search is going to be obviously quicker because the broker has done all the follow-up for like 5-10 years and now they're ready. But then the proprietary search is the one where you're the only buyer there, so you get better pricing, you get a better support, and you get a better, much easier transaction. So as as you're as you're transitioning the business, what are some of the things, like we talked about 90 days, making sure that the alignment within the team. What's the following 90 days? What are you trying to achieve? Now that you got alignment, you cleaned up the roster, the bench, what happens next?
That's where you start getting the KPIs and teaching them, uh, average dollar sale number transactions of how to add more, how to as you walk through the yard, identifying things. This is where you start educating them on how to say, I've noticed over here, if you did this and boom, 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 you're always looking to grow the company. Teach them how to continually sell more, upgrade, service, taking care of the clients, average dollar number transactions per client. When you start measuring that, give them KPIs. How are they going to be measured? Give them incentives. That's where you really start. Now that you know the team, okay, let's start really leveraging the superstars and see how we can make them all better. Like I do quarterly plannings with them, and we get the next time it's going to be time management, but we'll have an open meeting and getting everybody education of just tweaking some things. As we tweak, we get better, and it's not the grand thing, but if we're consistently learning, all you guys, your go bros, you're consistently learning how you can get better. You might not be where you want to be, but you might look back over the last 2 years like, holy crap, I've really grown and learned a lot of things along the way. And as you do that, then you really start educating the team, and everyone gets a little bit better and a little bit better and a little bit better. Yeah, one of the books we hand out is 212 degrees. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it. 211-degree water is very, very hot. 212-degree water is boiling hot. 1 degree difference from hot, very hot water to boiling water that creates steam. Steam can power a locomotive engine. 1 degree difference, huge degree difference in outcome. So we have the owners and the leaders and the people read this book, and then you just ask, so Jay, what are you doing this week to get 1 degree better than last week? You give them a book, they read the book, you ask them one question, they're answering you. So that's leverage. You just give them a book to read and you ask them a question. So that now they're focusing on how they can get a little bit better this week than last week. And how can I help you? So these little things of putting in these little systems that a lot of people don't think of, just to consistently enhance people to get better and better and better and better.
That's awesome. And how do you do you transition systems, that Q1, or you wait until like Q2 to put everybody into the same, operating system or same accounting system, or that happens day one?
No, that's there's special gals that will acclimate them to the system. You got 6 different companies. I think there's 3 gals that really they excel in this, and we got a new system about 2 years ago. So one company at a time, get that one division, master it, next master it, next master it, and then they're actually looking. They ask, which system are you using here? Are you familiar with this system? Yes, I am. Oh, boom, there's another really good check mark.
Nice.
But yeah, that the new people are acclimated to a new system. They're trained on it and getting up and running on it. Yeah, that's immediate and ongoing.
And right now, the companies are still separate brands, correct? They're not merged under one umbrella, one brand.
Yeah, they have one company, and then they have all their individual names.
Is there
And they market them individually.
What's the logic in keeping in each company its own brand, its own everything, as opposed to merging them all under one name?
Because everyone knows those names.
Okay.
I asked that question myself. They said everybody knows their name. Like I'll go out. It's funny. I was coming back from Bible study, and I'm next to this big old truck, and I think it was Viking Landscaping. So I rolled the window down. Say, hey, landscaper, right? He goes, yeah. I said, you must know, Nature's Expert? No. Diaz Brothers? Yes.
Yes.
Coastal Gardens? Yes. Sherlock Tree? Yeah. How do you know those guys? Boom. So
Yes.
they they know the
The
competitors
individual brands.
know the names of the individual. Diaz Brothers was big on like Fort Lauderdale area, Coastal, big in Palm Beach. So they keep them. And plus, a lot of the stuff they're doing is it's word. They're networking, shaking hands. They know their operators. When you're, you know, it amazing me when they tell me about their client list, the Tom Brady's and the Sylvester Stallones. I'm like, damn, man.
But it's also those brands have been around for like 25, 30
Yeah,
years.
yeah,
And then
yeah,
the new entity is still new. It's only been
yeah,
around for like
yeah.
a couple of years. So it's not, it makes sense longevity wise. These brands have positioned themselves build that trust over a long period of time.
Like the one that didn't work out, that one got blended into another. That name went
Okay.
away.
Got it.
That's gone. That name's gone.
Got it. Got it. That
Yep.
makes sense. And so so it essentially depends on the situation. If the brand has been around for a long time and it's got its strength, then you keep it separate. If not, you just merge. And so from an acquisition standpoint, if a company is doing X number of revenue and Y number of profitability, post acquisition, let's say a year, 2 years after, is there like a goal to move it from this level to this level, or you just give it the support, give it the help, and see where it goes? Is there,
There's
do you have like a measure?
a combination of both. I mean,
Okay.
we measure the numbers. We measure the revenues and the profit of every company, and then we have a combined showing the total revenues and profit. And we can look exactly how the margins are improving, the revenues, and so on and so forth. And the key is they got some really good operators running some of those divisions. You get a guy that's owned a company for 20, 30 years, and he's done.
Yeah.
And now he's operating one of your divisions. That's almost having like another entrepreneur owner running it.
Yeah.
And you get a guy like that in there, and you could just see it in the numbers, the improvement and the margins and the efficiency and productivity. And um, that's it's exciting.
So the most successful acquisition, what was the jump, in terms of revenue, in terms of profitability?
I have to look at the numbers. This year overall, they were up over 300. I mean, over three-digit percentage growth in the bottom line.
Okay. Profitability. Okay.
Those are some nice numbers. Now they had to sweat it out for a couple of years, but now things are humping now. Now it's
Okay.
getting better and better and better. Now we just expect, now we can take the divisions that are really doing well and start, okay, what do we learn here? What do we need to teach over here?
Got it. So the sweat it out period, how long was that, and what was the source of the sweat?
Well, we had COVID, and that was a little nerve wracking.
Okay.
Money's drying up. You can't just go out there and do things you used to do. And I can't remember what acquisition it was, but I remember having a coaching call that, yeah, they were sweating. I said, and I just would say, gentlemen, this is, you big boys. This is what big boys sweat. You just stay the course and take your time. The right stuff will show up, and don't worry. I remember telling 2 years ago, I said, everything you're doing now is going to show up and show up big. Well, guess what? It's showing up, and it's showing up big now. Now we're looking at the numbers, we're looking at their growth, and we're looking at their leaders. So here it is. So you just gotta, when you're guiding somebody like that, because when your things ain't working, you're feeling it.
Yeah.
You have to say, hey, listen, this ain't gonna last forever. This is the grind to deliver. 2 years from now, you'll be looking back and you forget about that.
Yeah.
Now it's just humming. I mean, I just did a video a couple of weeks ago about hang up your workbook boots. He said, what I feel like expressing, coach, is I don't feel like I'm working hard. I just feel guilty. I don't feel like I'm working hard. I said, no, you don't think you're working hard because you're not up a freaking tree with a chainsaw. You're leading. You have divisional managers running the show. You're taking vacations. Could you remember when I used to bitch you out 7 years ago because you're working weekends? Well, you're not working weekends anymore. You're living the entrepreneurial life. You're being a leader, and you're just testing and measuring and guiding these guys to get better and better and better. You're working hard. You're just working smart. And so he hung up his work boots. He doesn't need his work boots anymore.
Nice. I
That's a
like
beautiful
that.
thing.
That's a good metaphor. So the tightness, was that at the time, was that because the
Well, money was drying up. Before the PP, it's just when COVID hit, it was just for a lot of businesses because the unknown.
yeah,
There was so much unknown. The money was drying up, and um, people didn't want to see people, and just hold off here and hold off there. And so there was, when you have that unknown and you got a lot of money floating out there, and it's a little nerve wracking. Hey, we're
so
entrepreneurs.
the COVID happened, there's volume went down, and then there's a lot of PPP money, and there's a lot of cash thrown at the economy, so things went up.
And you know what? I think the real thing is, Jay, is the bench strength over the years. I would say every time you get one person, an A player, that takes your company up another notch. So I think over the last 5 years, we really had to work through getting all the A players. And that's where I really believe we're at now. We have a lot of A players, and the ones that we rate them A, B, C, D. Get rid of the D's. How do we graduate the C's to B's? How do we graduate the B's to A's? I would have conversations with these leaders. Listen, we have you rated as a B. What do we need to do to get you to an A? I mean, there's one guy that was struggling 2 years ago. Now he's been reading, going to seminars. I'm like, Kevin, dude, you're like a different person. He goes, Coach, for you to say that, thank you. And him and another guy were just at each other's throats. And I had a call with both of them, and I showed them both their behaviors. Well, both their behaviors are identical. They both wanted to win, and they both wanted to talk. Well, guess what? We're two people like that. And now those guys are working so well together. So it's just little things like that. And I really believe all the success has come from really developing the team. And that's what gives John the ability to walk away. So there's so many things going on, the money, the environment. But if you really focus on getting the right systems in place and building your dream team, once that's all in place, then you're off and running.
Yeah, 100%. Axel, you want to give us an update?
Hey,
Hey,
yeah,
how's it
sure.
going?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. So remind everyone, what did you buy? When did you buy it? And then give us an update.
So I bought a landscaping business in end of August, right? So it was a 50 years old business, selling, retiring, and yeah, it's been doing revenue 2 million last couple of years consistently. So I bought it. Everything was done in the pen and paper, no systems, but the company had a really good team and all tenured employees. Like some of them have been in the company for 50 years, some of them 40, 20. So generally, it's been going well, actually much better than I was expecting because of some hidden actually talent.
Nice.
And I was initially really worried about operations side, but what I realized was that there was a really good operations manager there in place, and he just was not given enough leadership role. And he was stuck. He always wanted to grow. He always wanted to do more, but he was not given that room. It was a really win-win situation where, like, as soon as I jumped in, I needed that, and also he needed that. So overall,
That's awesome.
that's really, yeah.
Is the owner still involved?
Nope, he was involved first 90 days, helped with the transfer. And after that, no, he's not been around.
And you had someone that you were gonna you a friend of yours that you're gonna bring in to be like a GM. Is that person panned out or no?
Yes, that's also working out relatively well. He's now GMing. Actually, I go to business now. Start last couple of weeks. I've been there only once a week, so I'm gradually reducing my day-to-day operations there.
Okay, so what is that person doing?
He is GMing whatever needs to happen, whatever the operations managers cannot do, whatever the office managers cannot do. For now, the main purpose, the main role for him is to actually roll out Aspire. So
To
that's
do what?
it.
Oh, expire. So so you're doing you're rolling out a operating system for the
Yeah,
company.
yeah,
That's the exact system that we're using, Aspire.
Okay, so
Yep.
you're going to use an Aspire. Yeah, it's a good tool. This is an operating system for most of the landscaping companies.
Yep.
It's owned by Service Titan, which runs a lot of HVAC and plumbing companies, and they just went public recently. So you're doing the rollout of Aspire right now, and that's what
Yep.
he does.
Yep. January we rolled out. Now February will be the first month where we do the full invoicing out of it.
Okay. And is the team happy? Diogo, go ahead. You guys jump in. If you have a question, just speak. Just go
Hey,
for
just
it.
so
Don't
you
have to
know, I
wait.
gotta hop off at 2
Yes.
o'clock sharp.
No worries. No worries. Appreciate it, Michael.
I had a question for Axel. It just a quick question. Like you bought the business, but do you still have like a main job, or you went a full on to the owning the business and you dropped your other job?
I did have a job. I quit. Then I bought this business. Now I spent 5 months just streamlining this, and now I am stepping back again. So that the plan is long term. Spend only like hopefully half a day per month long term. But in the middle I quit. I spent like 5 months day in day out to implement these operating systems.
Amazing. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any
Michael,
questions, guys?
thanks for your time, man. I really appreciate it. Fantastic content. Jay, great questions, man.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you, Michael. It was great. You know, if you guys have any questions, post them in the feed.
Yeah,
Thank you, Mike.
Have a good one.
Ivan, good to see you, buddy.
Yeah, same
Thank you.
here.
Thank you.
Thank you.